This is CBC Vancouver News.
These products are still on the shelves.
Two BC women propose a class action lawsuit after learning some hair relaxers can be linked to an increased risk of cancer. Looking for answers in the death of a Vancouver police constable.
I believe there's a systemic issue within the VPD that needs to be changed because I don't want this to happen to another family.
The testimony saying she felt manipulated by another officer before taking her own life.
I think it's really costless. Not been good enough, to be honest with you, and kind of left the coaches out to dry.
And fans pile on Vancouver Canuck leadership after firing their well-liked coach during a dismal season. Good evening, I'm Dan Burritt. Thanks for joining us. We begin with some developing news tonight. 4 people are in hospital, 2 in critical condition after 2 separate avalanches this afternoon in southeastern BC. Emergency Health Services says 3 people were injured in a slide near Revelstoke, about 200 kilometers northeast of Kelowna. 2 of those people are in critical condition. The third is seriously hurt. A 4th person was caught in a slide near Cherryville, further south. It's not known how badly they may be hurt. The news comes after a 3rd avalanche death in the province on Saturday. RCMP say 2 people were snowmobiling that morning when the slide happened at the Allen Oasis Recreation Park south of Valemont. Authorities say one snowmobiler was able to ride away from the remote-triggered avalanche. The driver was unhurt and dug out the passenger, but they were unresponsive and later died. Both are from Grand Prairie, Alberta. That death comes after a slide near Caslow earlier this month killed 2 Nelson police officers. Avalanche Canada has warned of an unusually weak snowpack this year.
Northern half of the province is seeing stormy weather, which is creating dangerous to very dangerous conditions. The south coast actually isn't experiencing too much change in the weather. On top of that, they don't have as many concerning weak layers in the snowpack there. So the avalanche danger there is a bit lower. In the interior, that's where we're seeing quite a tricky snowpack structure and dangerous conditions, or danger level 3.
Search and rescue teams in the backcountry are reminding users to check conditions before they go and to be prepared. 2 BC women are proposing a class action lawsuit against beauty companies, including LOreal, after learning hair relaxers often used by Black women can be linked to an increased chance of cancer. The proposed suit is believed to be the first of its kind in Canada. As Michelle Gassoub tells us, the complainants say their own health has been compromised by products they call dangerous.
I was like, get it back in my hair.
Shamara Hutchinson started using hair relaxers at the age of 7. Chemical products, most often used by Black women to remove natural texture from hair. At just 15 years old, Hutchinson received a frightening diagnosis: ovarian cancer.
It was terrifying. Up until that point, I thought like getting a cancer diagnosis was a death sentence.
More than a decade later, Hutchinson is one of 2 representatives in a proposed class action lawsuit against cosmetic giants including L'Oreal, after she learned cancers like hers have been linked to chemicals in the hair relaxers she used for years.
I was like, wow, that is a real possibility. If these products do have cancer-causing chemicals in them, this is a real possibility that this is the causation.
So I actually had my first surgery last week to remove 4 fibroids.
El Wayara is the second class action representative. Her fibroids, which are also linked to hair relaxers and straighteners, left her with years of debilitating pain. L'Oreal produces the popular Dark and Lovely line of relaxers, which are still advertised on their website and sold on shelves in BC. Strength of Nature and Dabur USA also named in the suit. The notice of claim filed in BC Supreme Court alleges the products are dangerous, defective, and not fit for purpose. None of the companies responded to a CBC News request for comment. The allegations haven't been proven in court, and the claim hasn't yet been certified as a class action.
To do their due diligence, I think that's just the basic standard that any consumer would expect.
These women particularly troubled because these products are directly targeted to Black women, who often experience significant barriers in the healthcare system and pressure to alter their natural hair.
Already we're dealing with hair prejudice and systemic issues in school, at work, and other situations, and so we're trying to adapt.
Similar claims have been filed in a number of U.S. states, but this proposed case, believed to be the first of its kind in Canada. Michelle Gassoub, CBC News, Vancouver.
Today marked the first day of the coroner's inquest into the death of Vancouver Police Constable Nicole Chan. She took her own life 3 years ago. And as Joel Ballard reports, the jury heard testimony that said before she died, she was frustrated about the outcome of her complaints alleging sexual assault and coercion by a superior.
4 witnesses provided evidence, among them Constable Chan's sister Jennifer. She spoke about how she felt her sister's mental health struggles were the result of a sexual assault by a co-worker, how Chan felt depressed prior to her death, aimless about her future and her career. But she also described Constable Chan as passionate and loving, saying her dream to work for the Vancouver Police Department was fueled by her desire to find justice for those whose voices weren't heard.
I hope that the jury comes back with some recommendations for change in the department. I believe there's a systemic issue within the VPD that needs to be changed because I don't want this to happen to another family.
The jury also heard from Superintendent Shelley Horn, who claimed that Constable Chan said she felt she had been coerced and sexually manipulated by a senior officer, Sergeant David Van Patten. Horn said the two had previously been in a consensual relationship. Chan alleged that Van Patten had found intimate images and text related to her on another officer's phone and was threatening to share them, and told her she needed to have sex with him. Chan said she submitted because she didn't feel she had any other choice. Van Patten was dismissed by the VPD after the Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner substantiated 3 allegations of discreditable conduct against him. Chan was previously also in a relationship with a second senior officer. Neither are set to testify.
This inquest has been a long time coming for the Chan family in terms of seeking answers and trying to get to the truth of what led to Nicole's passing. And so not having 2 of the individuals who are at the heart of the Office of the Police Complaint Commissioner's investigation, it was certainly surprising and I can only imagine disappointing for the family.
Constable Chan's sister was the first in a long line of witnesses. Over 7 days, more than 30 witnesses will provide testimony. None of the allegations have been proven in court. Joel Ballard, CBC News, Burnaby.
Surrey Mayor Brenda Locke is putting pressure on the province to make a decision on whether it will stop the city's transition from the RCMP to the Surrey Police Service.
The minister and the premier know the wishes of the residents of Surrey, and so I'm hopeful that they will do the right thing for our residents.
The Surrey Police Service continues to move ahead. Meanwhile, it's now deployed another 18 frontline officers, bringing the total number of boots on the ground to almost 400. Mayor Locke says she was told she'd get a decision by the end of this month and is reminding the province that the deadline is coming quickly. The government did not reply to CBC News when asked about a decision date. Some Vancouver Canucks fans are furious after the club fired head coach Bruce Boudreau on Sunday. The move comes after a dismal stretch to the season. As Susanna De Silva explains, how the club canned him, though, is among the biggest sore spots.
Another new chapter has begun for Vancouver under a new coach and hoping to move on past the last painful few pages of the Canucks story.
And there is an emotional Bruce Boudreau behind the...
Everyone knew this would be the last time Bruce Boudreau would be here.
Thanking the fans.
Not that shocking for a coach of a team 14 points out of a playoff spot. But this was the end of one really long goodbye.
And we have to play within a stronger structure.
Despite success after taking over halfway through last season, a rough start this year quickly had management publicly criticizing him repeatedly. Then last week, this when asked about looking for replacements.
I have called a few people to talk to people, yes.
It left Boudreau in an awkward spot over and over again.
I was fired once in the middle of the season, And by the way, they haven't fired me yet. Just
Until Saturday, when he was.
The level of cruelty, which I think comes out of arrogance and incompetence, was among the most poorly handled firings I can remember seeing in sports.
To add insult, this was Bruce Boudreau.
He's a lovable, wisecracking, funny, humble guy who pretty much everybody in the sport likes.
And fans did too.
I think it's really costless.
He received a lot of love while he was here.
Seeing him as a symbol of ongoing frustration in this market against team ownership.
I think that's just so frustrating for people that the owners think that there's a quick fix here. There rarely is. People in this town are ready for a rebuild.
So I've decided that I need to zip it.
Now promises off and on the ice to turn things around.
Not been good enough, to be honest with you, and kind of left the coaches out to dry.
With many fans and analysts saying even more changes are going to be needed. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
The BC Green Party leadership team has grown. Former surgeon Dr. Sanjeev Gandhi joins politics as the party's second deputy leader.
When it became clear that I was nearing the end of my surgical career, I began to consider ways I could continue to help. Not with a scalpel, but armed with 3 decades of knowledge about healthcare, people, their needs, and their vulnerabilities.
Gandhi is an advocate for children's health and a critic of ongoing COVID-19 policy. He says he will focus on the overlap between public health and climate action. Party leader Sonia Furstenau also highlighted the importance of safety and well-being, arguing the Green Party is more than just about climate advocacy. A group of artists, producers, and folk festival fans are pushing back against the Vancouver Folk Music Festival Society after it said it cannot hold its annual get-together because of a money crunch. The Society will vote on whether to dissolve on February 1st, spurring a group of people who hope to save it into action. That includes the likes of singer Veda Hilly and former Globe and Mail columnist Rod Mickleborough. The group has built a Facebook group with more than 1,000 people and is urging members to vote against dissolving the Society. Lunar New Year events returned to Metro Vancouver this weekend after a 2-year pandemic hiatus.
Happy New Year. I'm so excited to be here in person after so many years of not being able to get together. You can feel the excitement. Vancouverites and British Columbians are ready to celebrate.
Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and opposition leaders Pierre Poilievre and Jagmeet Singh were at the parade in Vancouver's Chinatown, along with Premier Eby and Vancouver Mayor Ken Sim. A countdown at Richmond's Aberdeen Centre also drew big crowds. Now, those crowds in Vancouver's Chinatown, as you saw yesterday, were a much-needed boost for local businesses who've been hit hard by crime and vandalism. One restaurant seeing long lineups has been Kim Wai Dim Sum. We caught up with the owner, William Liu, who is vowing to serve the community he loves amidst despairing poverty.
The family business has been in our family. It's our 32nd year. To see second, third, even fourth generations of people coming in and saying that our family has had your food for this long, it's just so heartwarming to me. I remember the good old times of Chinatown in the early 90s when it was bustling. So I've seen it all, pretty much. Obviously, the state of Chinatown right now is, I wouldn't say it's the best. Cleanliness is something that has been an issue in Chinatown for a long time. So putting down that measure to keep Chinatown clean is going to be great. And graffiti removal, that's been an issue in Chinatown for a long time. There's so many things that can be done to improve Chinatown. I think there are some very, very core things that are happening in Chinatown that I wouldn't say are going to save Chinatown, but really it's going to anchor Chinatown. So one are legacy businesses. The businesses that have been here for a long time that the seniors, that their children, that their children's children keep coming back to. I think if those businesses stay in Chinatown, that's really what's really going to anchor Chinatown in itself. But there are also, so many deep underlying issues in Chinatown that will take a lot more work to kind of remedy. I'm really hoping that in the near future, all of these underlying issues will hopefully be solved. One of the core values that my dad really instilled in me is to keep our prices low. He said he doesn't have any money today.
He never does that. He always has money.
I know he said he'll have it tonight. I'm like, then just come back tomorrow. It's okay. There's so many people struggling every single day on the street. And people come in here every single day looking for food. But they want to use their money. That's the issue. But things are priced so high nowadays, so we've really made it one of our values to kind of have a price freeze. We are a very, very welcoming space. We want everyone to be in here. We want people to happily spend their money and use it with dignity.
Rat management is a very complex and complicated issue.
BC has placed strict limits on powerful rodenticides, but animal advocates and pest control experts question the ban's effectiveness. That story's next. Thanks for joining our commercial-free live stream tonight. A price hike in the Kootenay has some people steaming mad. Admission fees at 3 public hot springs have more than doubled. Those who rely on the hot springs in Radium, Banff, and Jasper say the lack of local pools leaves them with very few options. As Corey Bullock reports, they want a discounted rate for the locals.
I have 2 young children, a 7-week-old and a 3-year-old, and I want them to be able to swim.
For Natasha Shorb's family, a dip in the local hot springs has always been a highlight. But as of the new year, prices have more than doubled. Kootenay locals like her rely on Radium Hot Springs. The next closest public pool is about 100 kilometers away.
Honestly, when I heard about the increase, the doubling of the prices, I was really crushed.
Invermere residents rallied today to make their concerns known. Fees have also gone up at the public hot springs in Banff and Jasper. Passes went from $8 to $16.50 for an adult. It doubled for seniors and youth as well. The family rate jumped from $24.50 to $53.
Prices have doubled, and people who live in remote areas like Invermere and Radium, we don't have rec centers.
What do you think about the price increase here at the pools?
It's probably something that was a long time coming. The prices were low for decades. It's maybe a shock to people that it went up so fast, but it's probably at a level that is similar to other places now.
Parks Canada, which runs the hot springs, says the raise is necessary.
Canadian Rockies hot springs sites were frozen between 2004 and 2020, and therefore have not substantially increased over the past 18 years. And during this time, operational costs have obviously increased significantly.
England says annual passes didn't go up by as much, but it will still set a family of 4 back $652, a 59% jump.
That's just putting it over the top for them to be able to take their families and be able to go and have some fun.
England adds that entry fees only cover about 30% of costs. Taxes make up the rest. Parks Canada recently announced a $13 million investment into the hot springs, and it's open to a subsidized cost-sharing agreement to bring down the prices for locals. The area's mayor says local policy doesn't currently allow for it, but that could change.
We're open to hearing anything they have to say and want to make sure it's something that's feasible for our community.
Until then, families will be stuck with the fee hike. Corey Bullock, CBC News, Cranbrook.
They're fuzzy, they're tiny, and they can be a nuisance, and worse, we're talking about mice. The province has recently banned a number of powerful poisons used to bait the rodents, but as Chad Pawson tells us, both animal advocates and pest control experts question the ban's effectiveness.
At a hardware store in East Vancouver, Charlie Owakawa explains all the ways to kill a rat.
You got everything from live trapping and then some instant death, some sticky traps, as well as the good old-fashioned snap traps.
Customers are looking for alternatives for rodent and mice problems now that some poisons are banned.
You just gotta outsmart them and know where they're gonna be landing.
You gotta put them in the right place.
Yeah.
The poison inside bait boxes like these, used commonly by pest control companies, are facing strict new limits. Second-generation anticoagulant rodenticides, or SCARs, are now banned. It follows an 18-month pilot by the province. SCARs can kill other animals that eat poisoned rodents.
Unfortunately, I think most of the second-generation anticoagulants have all been painted with the same brush, and all of the user groups have been painted with that same brush.
The pest control industry says it's lost a powerful tool, one that can be used safely. They claim rodent activity in cities like Vancouver was up during the pilot ban period.
It could be a number of factors that are contributing to this, and I think it's too early to tell for sure if it was the temporary ban on the rodenticides that was causing this, or if this is something that is going to be systemic long-term because of the ban of this active ingredient that we were using.
Meanwhile, animal advocates say the ban won't reduce secondary poisonings. Deanna Pfeiffer has been campaigning for a widespread ban on rodenticides ever since she found a dead owl in her Saanich neighborhood in 2019. Even during the pilot ban, she's documented dead owls.
The animals continue to die, and I'm still receiving owls. It has not stopped. And it's important for people to realize the minister only took action on 3 active ingredients. There's 27 active ingredients that are registered in Canada, but that's hundreds and hundreds of products.
Experts hope the ban will push property owners to consider other options for dealing with pests rather than poison.
I think that's one of the problems, is that we treat rat management as a really simple solution. See a rat, lay down a trap. See a rat, put out some poison. Rat management is a very complex and complicated issue.
Byers hopes the debate will result in more research into best practices. Until then, keep your garbage tidy, plug mouse holes, and make your home as unattractive to rodents as possible. Chad Pawson, CBC News, Vancouver.
There's a live look at the Port of Vancouver. We have drizzle ahead on the south coast, so please plan accordingly. Johanna will have your BC-wide weather forecast right after the break.
It's springtime year-round at Nick Warmerdam's greenhouse outside of Abbotsford.
This is Corsi. That variety there is called Lane van der Mark, the red with the yellow edge.
It's here that Warmerdam has tricked thousands of tulips into thinking that it's spring. Greenhouse tulips make up only a small part of his flower business. Outside, nature has tricked his flowers into thinking spring is here too.
It's early to see them come up. We expect to see them come up every year, but it's just a little early. They just react to temperature.
Warmerdam could be worried, but he's not. He's covered his daffodils, irises, and tulips with straw for insulation, so if winter ever really gets here, he's done all he can.
So wouldn't, if you got a real cold snap, wouldn't all this stuff sort of die off?
They'd be brown from there. Just die right off.
That's not good.
No, that wouldn't be good, but I don't think that's going to happen. You don't really think that's going to happen, do you?
Tom Mulleder doesn't think it will happen. He's the manager of the United Flower Growers in Burnaby, which sells to most florists. These greenhouse flowers cost 5 times as much as field flowers, so an early crop is just fine with him.
If East is early as it is this year, we can actually use a warm winter. It's beneficial to have a warm winter, providing we don't get a heavy frost between now and it's time to harvest them, so the end of February.
So flower growers won't worry about cold weather unless it really gets here. Like everyone, they think the best way to cope with mild temperatures is to enjoy them. Bob Nixon, CBC News, Abbotsford.
Land Back is a CBC original podcast where we uncover land theft in Canada and look at how Indigenous people are taking it all back. Land Back is out now on CBC Listen or wherever you get your podcasts.
Hi, I'm Amy Bell, and here's what's in your CBC Vancouver inbox.
Celebrate the city's most impactful leaders with Anita Bath at the annual Vancouver Magazine Power 50 Awards. Join the fun February 2nd at the Terminal City Club. Learn more and get tickets at vanmag.com. And never miss a special programming series, event, or contest. Subscribe to CBC Vancouver's e-newsletter at cbc.ca/Vancouver inbox and keep connected with us.
The weather update is brought to you by Direct Buy Furnace, installing the most reliable heating and cooling brand. It's hard to stop a train.
Time for our BC-wide weather forecast with meteorologist Johanna Wagstaffe. Drizzly, Joe, it's got that feel of it, and that's going to change in the coming days.
Going to change big time, yes. Couldn't be more far off from drizzle if you've all seen the rumors of a deep cold blast and snow in the long-range forecast. But yes, drizzle for now, and it really will feel like you're in a cloud the next 24 hours. Let me show you the big picture. We've got what we call an onshore flow, so a west to east flow bringing moisture down the coast, and we're just sort of getting the tail end of it in Metro Vancouver. The bulk of it actually hitting central and northern coastal sections. In fact, Stewart picking up a good 15 centimeters of snow today. That should end through the overnight, but as I take you through the forecast, you can see all of that purple in the northwest. That is the good snow. We are still in that snowpack deficit, so nice to see that fresh blast over the next sort of 24, 48 hours. That high pressure is attempting to protect us through tomorrow, but like I said, it's mainly drizzle. We call it drizzle, just as a reminder, when those raindrops are smaller than normal size. So it'll just generally feel like you're in a cloud, no matter what you wear. Past this weekend, sort of Sunday, is when we'll watch for that Arctic blast. And this is why meteorologists have begun buzzing about it. I'll say, keep your eye on those pink and purple temperatures through the end of the week. There's Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. We start to see that cold air push westward across BC. So this is the first real Arctic blast that we've seen in weeks. It was sort of before Christmas that we were last in that cold air mass. So that's going to come with some well below seasonal temperatures and even some snow in the long-range forecast. But speaking of snow, the next couple of days, look at the snowpack revival. We've got, 20 to 40 centimeters across parts of our mountain ranges. That's going to do some good to bring those snow levels back. So a drizzly day tomorrow. I think we'll see the sun back for Wednesday. Rain returns for Thursday. We've got some sunless weekends, so sort of on again, off again. And then look at that. Yes, I've couched the snow in the long-range forecast is way out there.
3 question marks. Oh boy.
3. I didn't go with 4 though. So
no.
multiverse
You don't want to
scenario
oversell it, and we appreciate that, right?
We'll see how many question marks I have tomorrow. Stay tuned.
We await the science.
It'll be here.
Thanks, Joe.
You're welcome.
That is your late news for Monday. Thank you for joining us this evening. For news anytime, please check our website, cbc.ca/BC. Your next local news is on the early edition on CBC Radio 1. It begins tomorrow morning at 5 o'clock. Have a good night.